All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. We got an epic interview today for you guys. Today I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing one of my mentors, one of my coaches, one of my personal coaches that has helped me just expand my life, expand my business. I've coached with this dude for over 4 years now. Not only does he coach, has he coached me over the years and continues to coach and provide that mentorship, but he also coaches my entire leadership team, my team manager, my recruiter. So this guy is very, very infused into my business, and again, has had such a huge impact on myself and my life. So this is just one badass epic interview. But real quick, before we jump into the interview, I want to give our sponsors a quick plug that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is my 90-Day Mastery Bootcamp. Check us out, www.90daymastery.com. I don't care what level you are at inside your real estate business. If you want to take your business, your life to the next level, this program is for you. So go check out our testimonials, all the information on the program. This is my personal mentorship program. You get 4 months of daily access to me, plus I give you my entire playbook every single week. About 3 hours on average of live training for 12 live sessions. And again, then you have 4 months of daily access to me. And I go through my live playbook of exactly what I am doing and what my team is doing to sell close to, we're on track to about 650 to 700 homes this year alone. So I'm walking you through exactly what I've done to sell over $1 billion in real estate, over 5,000 homes, and giving you, not just walking you through and telling you what to do, but I give you my entire playbook in editable format. So check us out, www.90daymastery.com. Make sure to enter promo code LIVEMASTERY, LIVEMASTERY, all caps, all one word, all together, to go out there and save a ton of money and get the program for the best possible deal. Second sponsor is REO University. This is a new program that my business partner and I, Ben Barber, kicked off. Ben Barber is the most brilliant guy I've ever met in my life working, or when it comes to REO, he worked actually on the bank side. Like, this guy developed so many of the systems that you see that exist in the REO space. So there's nothing that he hasn't done. He knows the ins and outs of exactly what you need to be doing and how to be extremely successful in REO. Plus, me as a successful REO agent representing over 35 banks over the years, we combine our knowledge and have created what we call REO University, 22 in-depth modules of teaching you how to acquire REO accounts and how to go out there and service REO accounts, how to be extremely successful inside REO, how to expand your organization REO. Plus, there's also a lot of bonus advanced short sell training in there as well. So check us out, www.reomasteryuniversity.com. It's only $997, or you can do a 3-payment option, no finance fee. Make sure to check that out. Last sponsor is perfectstormnow.com. This is the website CRM system that I utilize in my business. I personally have helped design this program. I'm one of the owners inside the program. I have personally written every single follow-up protocol, every single drip protocol. So if you want to go out there and generate massive amounts of leads like I do and convert those leads at the highest possible level, this system is dummy-proof. It's a plug-and-play system and allows you to do exactly what I do inside my business, and it's only $200 a month, right? So $199 a month. It's as effective as any of the $1,000 or $1,500 a month systems out there for only $199 a month. If you go to www.perfectstormnow.com, enter promo code MASTERY, PSN, all caps, all together, all one, MASTERY, PSN, that will waive the registration fee. So go check that out. And again, you guys, let's jump on in this interview. This interview, again, dude, is just a badass, epic interview that's going to give you so much insane content. So hopefully you enjoy this interview as much as I did being able to interview my mentor. All right, we'll see you inside the interview. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their spaces. They're people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, their families, as well as have a huge impact on others while they exist. So you guys, today we got a special guest on the show. This is actually a repeat guest, somebody that's been an amazing friend, amazing mentor to me personally. He's been one of my personal coaches for the last 4 or 5 years. In my real estate team, before I hired Jon, we were doing about $45 million a year in production. And this year we'll come close to hitting $200 million in production. And that's just in a 4-year gap, right? So he is a software company owner, one of the, if not the top, in my opinion, the top leadership and recruiting coach in the real estate space, amongst a lot of other things that he does. So really stoked and honored to have my good friend Jon Cheplak on the show, dude.
Dude, like I said when we chatted here a little bit before, I mean, there couldn't be a better human being to spend my morning with at this current space and time. So love you. It's great to be here with you, brother. And hopefully we can mix it up, chop it up, and bring something for these people.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's always an honor, man. It's just been one thing about you that I always love and continue to love about you is, yeah, you've helped me grow my business, but you've helped me improve every aspect of my life, from my health to my marriage to my kids. And it's one of those things I think a lot of people miss this. They think that leadership is and growth is a doing process. But as like the great Jim Rohn said, success isn't a doing process. It's a becoming process. And I would say if I had to boil it down to one thing that you've helped me most with, it's in becoming the man that I needed to become to go out there and create the success I wanted to create, right? It wasn't necessarily the tactical day in, day out things, listing presentation. I mean, that's all the stuff that we typically know how to do. It was that higher growth, becoming the human being that I needed to become into so I could step into the role I had to play. And it's been massive. So let's kind of talk about that, man, because I know you work with so many high-level team leaders, brokerage owners, the top of the top CEOs that exist in the planet in the real estate space. Whether it's a mindset thing or whatever, kind of talk about the internal work that they do and who they need to become to create the success they want to create.
Sure. Well, I think it really goes back to, and we'll unpack it from the beginning to where we're at in current space and time is what we're programmed in society to believe fulfillment is. There are toxic mimics, and success is a toxic mimic for fulfillment. We believe that if we're successful and, we're in a numbers game. I mean, you and I love the numbers. We go back and forth on it, in the work that we've done. And so what's happened is we're programmed to believe that if we're successful, naturally fulfillment's going to come. So the big discovery that's happening that I think it's really neat for guys like you and I, because we want to, we're always reaching up. I mean, I'm working with this coach, Jon, I'm on it. We're always doing that. But we're doing it for a lot of reasons to bring it to those people that are striving to grow. We're reaching up so we can share it with the others that want to come along. Is that we're able to take and help folks today that have that potential for that toxic mimic and showing up where most highly productive human beings end up and go, wait a minute, I've been successful, but there's something missing, man. There's something missing. And so I think that what I've found is today with a huge part of I'd say everyone, because we attract who we are and how we live and how we walk. I think the big recognition I'm having, it's the same in you and I in our relationship too, was I've had some success here, big success, but there's more to it. There's more fulfillment. And I think although I was a recruiting type guy that could cause growth, there was this path that you were going down to, though, that said, you know what, I need to serve people. So number one, I think the big recognition is bridging that gap for people from success to fulfillment. And I think that today because there comes a point where we've got the strategies and tactics, we keep reaching out and we do find more things, but ultimately, what's the cap? What's the ceiling? And the ceiling for folks like us and the highly productive folks that we strive up to is that fulfillment piece. And that's really where the focus is right now is a heart-centered business. I go back and I talk about you a lot, Josh, and I think we both do it, is holding a space of what was it that was the contrast. what was the contrast, whether it was an experience or it was a moment? I think what's happening with many of the highly productive folks as I work with them, because I don't make anyone productive. I don't make you productive, and you don't make people productive. We facilitate a condition for them to choose productivity, but we're so in this positive mental attitude thing, and you need to have your affirmations, you need to have this, you need to have that. And we've got that, but I think the real shift today is with people going to where the pain is. Where is that thing, that moment that I don't want to go back to? I mean, we don't want to carry an energy of regret. And here's where I say it with you is you, people ask me, Josh grinds, he this, he that. I says, Josh doesn't grind. And I'll tell you why. Because Josh goes back to that job where he saw people on their deathbed and he learned about regret. And he said to himself, I will, and I don't care. And I heard you just presented to our great friend Chantel Ray, and they reposted it. Was where you said, hey, listen, I don't care. I'd like to make a lot of money. I'd like to be a rich man, but I don't care about that as much as I care about absolutely just leaving it all on the field. Yeah. And so I think that's the recognition of what I'm seeing is the next for the folks that are the highly productive. I think that's their next level, is bridging that gap and seeing, what's really missing. Is it this strategy or is that tactic? No, I mean, I feel I got it. And then they recognize it's that gap I've got to bridge from success, where it's kind of a little empty, to fulfillment. And then when that comes together, that's where they grow. That's really my recognition of folks. And then so now we go back to you is just like with me too. The minute this thing feels like work, dude, listen, we're folding up our tents. We're out of here. We're going to go hit that waterfall trail, and we're going to be out in the woods in our teepee, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my recognition, man.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a cool place to be. Yes, do I work a lot of hours in most people's eyes? Yes. But, I'm at a spot where I do what I want to do. I don't have to work. I do it because I love it. And there's really not anything else out there. I mean, outside of spend time with my wife and my kids, which I do a lot of that too, that I'd rather be doing, right? So it's such a great place to be. And I love that you brought up the fulfillment piece, because to me, that's what success is, right? It is truly learning how to become fulfilled. And most people have maybe a false sense of what success means for themselves. And fulfillment, right? Happiness doesn't equate to fulfillment. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? So they think, right? Happiness is an emotion, right? Well, I got to do a lot of things that make me unhappy, like eat a clean diet and go to the gym, that make me massively fulfilled, right? So there's a total difference there. And just from the podcast and my own personal experience, and now I've been blessed to be able to sit down with several billionaires as well, and that are self-made. And I'm telling you, one thing that I have found, and I'd like to get your input on this, of extremely successful self-made people is, to the outsiders, they may look greedy, but it's not about the money. It's all about leading from a place of massive contribution. And it just so happens that the money follows. So if somebody's at that point in their business where the money's flowing, but they still feel that missing component, how do they go from that to then leading from that place of contribution to create that true fulfillment?
Well, I think where I'm going with many productive people is I ask the toughest question on the planet. This is amazing. What makes you happy? And do you know how many people can answer that?
Yeah.
And then I take them back, and I go back to my experiences. So the first thing is ask yourself that. What makes you happy? Can you really and sit with it, though, not just the surface stuff. I mean, listen, your car is supposed to be your dream car, and it makes you happy, and it's all these great things, but you're sitting in your dream and you're in traffic and you're unhappy. So is that really your dream?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, come on, right? So go back to what makes us happy. And I think we find if we go back in our childhood and say, okay, this makes me happy. How did that feel? Well, I was carefree. It was non-judgmental. Those are the places and spaces to visit. And then look at knowing this. And it's a principle that I got when we shared this in the first podcast, when I got clean. The first thing the guy said to me when I had my bicycle and $5 in the bank, and I was using Hilton Honors points because that's the only place I could live, and they served 2 meals for free. Rock star, man. I was 40 years old and riding my bike at 2 a.m. because, yeah, I'm out of ego, and you've got to, let that go to get sober. But still, there was ego. I had to sneak down the gym at 2 a.m. and back up at 4 a.m. My first mentor, who I chose, was hardcore. He says, so here's our first meeting, man. He says, go help someone. Go help someone. And so do 2 things. Number one, go and visit and identify what makes you happy. And if you have to do it like this with your hand over your heart, don't do it with your hand in your head, because it starts at your heart. What makes you happy? Well, go back to that moment. I mean, if someone I work with says, I remember when I was a kid on the farm, 7 years old. Great. So I want you to feel that. Understand everyone has that moment. And the challenge is that they can't get back there. What if you can do that for them? But I go back to my first mentor when I got clean, and I says, so I'll do whatever. He says, good. Go help someone. I go, fuck you. Help someone. Dude, I'm helpless. What are you talking about? I mean, I'm clean. I don't know how to stay sober, but I am at this moment. Go help someone. Someone's got it worse than you. And so in its simplest of terms, find your happiness, but help someone with the desire and intention to get nothing in return. I think it's attached to the process of loving someone with a desire for nothing in return. Because what happens in the brain, in the human mind, we know there's all kinds of people that have got all that money, but something's missing. You know it. It's a matter of loving ourselves and loving the situation that we're in. And it's proven in neuroscience is this: when we go out and do something for someone which expresses love, we believe we have it in ourselves. And when you find that, you just open more. You move from competition to cooperation. So I'd say find a space that you are happy and sit in it every day. Look at that. Recognize everyone else has that spot. Recognize that question that I asked you, what makes you happy, was tough for you to answer. It means a lot of people aren't there either. And then now go help someone and let go of competition. And in its simplest of terms, that's what I'm seeing just opens people up, because we have resistance. We're in the world of memes. That which we resist persists. Well, what does that really mean? Unpack it. Man, you resist giving. You resist, I'll share this much, but not that much. That's fine, man. You're shut off. There's this thing called momentum, and you will not keep the momentum you want. So that's my discovery personally. And as I continue to work with very productive people, that's the discovery.
Yep. Love it, man. Couldn't agree more. I was interviewed not too long ago about asking, why do the podcast? And I'm like, I wished I had some magical answer. Like, I just want to give back to an industry that's changed my life. And that's part of it. But I'm like, at the deepest level, it's a selfish reason, right? I mean, it just contributing and giving back by doing this podcast, which cost me about $100,000 a year to operate, right? To do this. Man, it makes me feel so damn good. It makes me feel so fulfilled when I get daily messages from people that, show how the podcast got them through those tough times. And yeah, I mean, on a selfish level, dude, it brings in that fulfillment. It's like giving to any charity, right? I mean, a lot of times we give that charity to help out, but at a deep core, man, it just makes us feel so complete internally. So then from there, dude, okay, so once somebody recognizes that, let's say it's a real estate agent, team leader, or broker owner, and they're like, all right, man, I've been maybe more selfish operating my company where it's just been about the bottom line, the profit margin, me. I'm not giving all back to my people, contributing at the highest level back to my people. Now I need to go out there and do that. Then from there, once they have that self-discovery, because again, dude, like you're slaying it, obviously, with your clients. Like I said in the intro, you're the best of the best that I've ever seen. And I don't think there's anybody I haven't seen in this space when it comes to coaching and leaders and the influencers in this space. 2017, getting ready to enter 2018. for those that want to expand their company on the highest possible level, whether they're team leader or broker owner, how at the highest possible level, how is the game being played today differently than maybe it was even 2 years ago during our last podcast?
Oh, sure. It's always been the number one most important subject for every human being is me, myself, and I. And so yet interesting enough, we've been able to, up until the past couple of years, kind of almost ignore that and use, old-fashioned marketing. And certainly we all need to play the impression game and marketing impressions, if you will. But what's happened today is the sophistication of our information overload age. We're not in the information age. We're in the information overload age. See, it used to be like this. The marketing process, marketing includes attracting quality human resource to your organization. Marketing includes, we're all recruiters. We're all in the enrollment business. Every day we wake up and we enroll people. Listen, if you're not an enroller, you've got a job. And that's okay. You can have a job and trade hours for dollars, no problem. But if you don't see yourself as an enroller, then you're missing the boat. So, well, here's what's happened in that is it used to be this. The marketing process used to stop here. We get someone's attention, then they needed us, especially in our space, and I think in all spaces. Well, guess what? In the information overload age, I don't have to deal with you until right here. I don't. And so now it's become all about me, myself, and I. So I would say from an overarching space of growing your real estate business, meaning if you're someone that's in a transaction space right now, and that's someone without leverage of team members, what you've got to look at is your messaging out there. You got to stop being the hero and start being the guide. I don't need a hero anymore. Okay, that's wonderful. You're doing great. You have big plans. I woke up today myself. I saw myself as the hero. Get out of my way. That's number one. Number two, I don't have to listen to your sales rep. And that's the agent talking to the consumer. Okay, and that's the team leader, someone ready to grow a team, talking to potential agents, because I don't have to. We're programmed. See, the person that we're trying to enroll, whether it's a consumer or it is an agent we want on our team, they're programmed to say no. We're programmed to try and get them to say yes. Well, guess what? It's no longer a sales process. It is a trust building process. And so it is now all about coach, train, lead, serve, allow people to have an experience of you when they join or when they work with you or when they engage with you before they do. Because here's the deal, 95% of our audience today is indifferent. 95% are indifferent, whether it's recruits, whether it is buyers and sellers, in any kind of industry. Only 5% are in the consideration phase. Y'all need to get rid of your one-size-fits-all language. You're using one-size-fits-all language, and you're speaking Chinese to the English, and it's not translating. So here's what you're doing. You're taking your recruits, you're taking your avatar, your ideal customer, whatever space you're at, and what you're doing is you're taking an indifferent audience, which, by the way, folks, let's do math. If 95% of the audience is indifferent, okay, that's a bigger number of people, and only 5% are consideration. Over time, if you're in a business for the long term, where's your greatest opportunity for long-term big revenues? 95%. But in our industry, we fall down miserably. So we're taking, with the wrong language, we're taking the indifferent audience and we're turning them into annoyed.
Yeah.
Because we're not meeting where we're at. So here's what I'd say. I would say meet people where they're at. Stop trying to get people to do what you want them to do. Find out what they don't want to experience. Find out what's happened in the past that hasn't worked for them, and then accommodate your segmentation, your messaging to them. And ultimately what's going to happen, your investment in marketing, your energy and effort to grow whatever you have is going to change dramatically, because there's One thing that we found out, human beings cannot tell you, just as we said about what makes you happy. Neuroscience has proven human beings cannot tell you accurately what they want, but here are the two things they can tell you accurately. Something that's happened in the past and something that they don't want. And so when you discover those, give them the Band-Aid, be the solution. Because remember this, tell me about the last time you went in the shoe store and they said, may I help you? And you said, no, I'm just looking.
Right.
That's programmed in us. So I would say that's the first step. Does that answer kind of where you're one together? I think it's your messaging today more than ever, Josh.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, man. And something that I know that you've done brilliantly and recently you've helped me learn how to craft and do is segmenting those different messages. Because if you have 95% of the population that are different spots, you've got to then figure out what buckets, if you will. Hey, man, okay, how do I speak to this consumer that's at this spot, then this consumer, so you can meet them where you're at, like you're talking about. So, because you can't just craft that one-size-fits-all message. So when it comes to team leaders and broker owners, can you give some examples of how you're doing that and your clients are doing that so well?
Sure. So what we're doing is, and it's challenging, and I'm very extreme to it, because there's a point where we need to talk features and benefits. And so the number one thing that we have to do is we need to understand their language. And so it is asking questions that are based on whether it's your recruiter or the consumer. And from my coach, Ryan Levesque, who now you're getting an opportunity to work with. I mean, dude, have you ever been more stoked about that?
Yeah, no, it's badass, man. I can't wait.
Yeah. So it's from seeing it. It made sense to me because, and it's kind of where we came together 2 years ago, is when he shared with me self-discovery. When I heard that word, I said, someone who gets it, because self-discovery is the highest form of human persuasion and the number one way to get someone to change. So you can't make someone productive. So what do we need to do to learn the language? Well, what we've got to do is we've got to run. Instead of running our buy this, we ask before we sell. And we ask in a form of, what don't you want to have happen? What has happened that hasn't worked for you? And then gathering responses and the language. See, here's the deal. The one size fits all is there's, based on human behavior of many years of, as someone says this, base your next question on their response, all the stuff that we know. Well, there's some ancient pieces there too, where you can just purely ask someone what doesn't work for them. And when they give you their responses back in their words and you aggregate it all together, they're giving you the exact language to run back at them. For example, I'll share with you a mistake I was making in my business. So we surveyed broker owner managers based on an SMIQ, single most important question, from Ryan Levesque. And it's, when it comes to profitability, what's your single most greatest challenge in your business? And the word recruiting did not come up. And yet I've got the Real Recruiter software. Recruiting is a bad word. And yet I was using it in my copy. We recently ran a question back at the consumer. So what we're doing is we're asking we're looking for, if you could ask your ideal customer one question, what would it be? Well, what don't they want to have happen? Okay. Or something that's happened in the past. Okay. And so we ran it at the consumer when it comes to buying or selling real estate. So it's the same thing. What's your single most greatest fear or concern? Well, we take all of their language, be as specific as possible. So we get these paragraphs back. We throw them in a word cloud. And all of you, if you're not familiar, a word cloud is when you look at blogs and you see the words that are bold and big. Well, it's the words that are used the most. Well, now we're getting back the language that our ideal avatar uses. Well, what does that do for us? Well, instead of doing a random subject line in an email that doesn't get opened, we wonder why. Well, we're speaking Chinese to the English. Instead of writing, creating video content that, may get clicked, but then they fall off, or a Facebook post that doesn't, interrupt people. Wait a minute, we are making a psychological and emotional bond, because here's what we get to do. Based on that question of what don't you want to have as an experience, we discover on our recent survey, just a simple question, that the word house is used 10 times more by the consumer than the word home. The word commission split and the word fees is non-existent when you survey agents. See, so here's the other thing, broker owner managers, the only person that's bringing the commission split conversation to the interview is you. You're creating it. So I digressed there for a moment, but just wanted to throw that in there. So we ask the questions. We find out that overpay is an important word. We find out honesty is an important word with the consumer. Well, now what we have is we take our copy because, ladies and gentlemen, words are what our decisions are based on. And if you're using the wrong words, it's the tiny hinge that'll swing the biggest doors. So we get those words back and then we write our copy, our email, our subject lines, every piece of marketing, a Facebook post, video scripting. We want to come natural, but then we always have that word cloud because what happens is this. How does that form? Just because they answered that way? Well, because the unconscious mind acts. The conscious mind thinks. And when you echo back the words to a human being that they use unconsciously, what have we done? We've moved them along the trust journey and made a psychological and emotional bond. So that's what we've been able to do. And here's what it's done. It's increased sales, reduced marketing fees, okay? And it's made the process feel better for people. So that's the most recent piece, again, from my discoveries in the last year. I'd always recruited that way. And it's the same way when we met, you were doing training sessions. You were training people. You had it going on. You were doing these sessions and bringing people in. We did some, with guys like you, I'd say going back to the highly productive folks to know this is as Josh mentioned, find your happy spot. What is it that's going to make me happy? Serve other people. But here's what you need to know when you're super productive is this. And you want to go to the next level, the quantum leap. It's not something huge. It's always a tiny hinge that'll swing a big door for you. And I think many times you're looking past it.
Yeah, love it, dude. So then when it comes to people inside your organization, so I would sit there and say that the biggest transformation that's happened since I've worked with you is, we had the systems and processes dialed in, but I still had a job, right? And I had to start learning to detach myself and, really become the CEO of my company, not be so involved in there. And you hit on this before of being very honest with yourself. I used to think strength meant, right, I couldn't show weakness, and I used to be much more of a tyrant leader until I discovered this. But you showed me the power of vulnerability, right, about really identifying what my strengths are, like what my business superpower is, if you will, and then the weaknesses that I have, and then being able to go out there and hire the right people that their strengths are my weaknesses. And I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. I'm like, it took me 11 years, right, in my 11th year to break $100 million in production. Right. And then now, and going on my 12th year, we'll do about $100 million more than we did that year before in one single year. So it took me 11 years to do. Now we're doing in 12 months with these big leaps. And, the systems and processes really haven't changed. Right now that those are dialed in, now it's identifying the right people that end up doing a better job than I was even able to do. And now it's to the point where we'll do close to 700 transactions this year. And I work about 2 hours a month right now inside my real estate business. Right. So can you kind of elaborate on that? Because I know that there's these huge blocks that people have. Well, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. They stay in that position. They don't hire the right people to really, truly help them expand.
Yeah, sure. So what I do is I think that there's so much for us to take in, and I always like to go to the simplest of places. And I've recognized this about you, Josh. I think that people can look at you and look at me and say, "Man, you've got a big capacity." I don't know that we have a big. I mean, we're friends and family, and we talk about everything. So I don't know that either of us have big capacities. I think we keep things really, really simple. I think we've got some basic pieces that guide us. I think we know every morning when we wake up, we have one job: to replace ourselves. What are we doing every day to replace ourselves? So you've got to think about that. So hold these principles close to you, because then when you think about that, anyone that's at that level, when you start doing that kind of production, congratulations, you're a pretty productive person. Okay, you're in the 1% in our industry or in whatever you do. So now, what you've got to do is you got to go to some core foundational principles. And so it's okay. Number one, I wake up. What I'm going to do to replace myself every day. The second one is this: trust equals capacity. Trust equals capacity. So when you take a look at what you want to do, what you need to do, the first thing I need to tell you is this: the problem with your organization not growing, ladies and gentlemen, is you. Until you move to that place, personal responsibility. So I just want you to know that you're going nowhere until you start owning shit. Okay. But they did that. Well, you chose them. You chose them. Okay. So trust equals capacity. I think that, one of my mentors, it's a great story. Ed Kraftchow, Pruitt-Cal, Nevada, Texas. And this was back in 2001. He brought me over. I went from branch manager to an exec VP GM of Pruitt-Cal, Nevada, Texas. Okay. And I want you guys to really hear this. And so we had about 35 offices at the point that were 35, 40 offices were company owned at that point. And then we had another were TLC companies. So at a corporate level, we would service the small mom and pops that would carry the same brand so they could have that appearance. So I'm in there about, 30, 60 days and I'm in the Bay Area. So every branch manager that I'm the GM for is a PhD, MBA, profitable offices. And they're okay, hot shot. What do you got for us? Well, I knew I had a little bit of a secret. I had this thing called recruiting. But my mentor taught me a really good lesson. So the company awards banquet's coming up. And we're going through, so we're in the war room with the marketing department who's got it scripted. We're at this it's going to be this antique car dealership with antique cars and maybe 1,000 people. And so I'm just sitting there, okay, looking how it's going. And this is the thing that my mentor taught me right away. It was the CEO, president, COO, GM, marketing, accounting, all the department heads. So we go through the scripting and it's all stick men spots. No names next to who's going to be whatever. At the end of the meeting, 24 hours before, and he says to me, 60 days into the company, and congratulations, you're the MC. And I looked at him and said, fuck you. And it just slipped out, man. I mean, it was just like, dude. And he was so cool because he goes, thank you. He says, I want you to learn from this. And this is what I want you guys to capture is this. I'm willing to, and I have to be willing to risk something go wrong in the company for the growth of a human being. Otherwise, I'm stuck. And I'll take that risk and we'll see how it goes. So I would say this is you've got to understand and look at, okay, it's a trust issue. You've got to understand too, if you don't trust, the person you don't trust is you. Okay. You've got to unpack where that fear is. You've got to, what I would do is go backwards though too, is I think this helps us. We look so forward in the positive. Go back to the moment when you're struggling with this, go back to the moment when someone gave you a chance. Go back to the moment when someone gave you a chance. And here's the final piece. Control is based in fear. And as long as you try and control things, you're going nowhere. That's 2 words. You're going nowhere. So look at the people that have allowed you, someone that gave you an opportunity, and know that the only way that we move forward is if we continue to bring other people along. So it's trusting. And it's also knowing too, listen, everything is about the long game. If you're in the short game, growth isn't for you. It's just not, in my opinion. I think if you're in the long game, if you look at a trajectory, there's going to be dips or there's going to be plateaus. Understand, be willing to accept that. Be willing to, I think where I challenge any of you personally is if you're not willing to sacrifice some financially, then, take a look at all the stuff you've got in your life and your bills and things. And maybe you have too much shit that has you hostage, which is typically the case. So you can't even afford to maybe take that step. I'm not saying everyone has to pause and the income needs to dip, but I'm going to tell you this. When you step back away from your spot and you allow people to do things, it's probably not going to grow as quick as you want it to. It's boom, boom. So I think there's again, now I've got to look at my personal life as I'm walking along this growth thing, because my personal principles of not trusting people are getting in the way, and recognizing it's my responsibility to help others.
Yeah. And then what's cool about it is, when you talk about trust equaling your capacity, right? Which was where I was at when we met. I was like at 40 million production one year, then like 43, then 47. And yeah, it was small growth, but I wanted 40, 60, 8, big growth points. And I was there, right? I wasn't giving up certain things. And that was one of the first things we went and worked at. And yeah, it's scary. But I'm going to steal your line, that we don't manage people. We manage the systems that manage, empower, and then hold our people accountable, right? So if you look at all my companies, say I have over 200 people that work directly for me, and I have no management headaches, right? But I have tight systems in place that inspect what I expect. And part of those systems are also your hiring process. One thing that, I'm really big on is I do a disc test for everybody as an example. And when I'm talking about key hires inside my business, not necessarily just the agents that are joining, but then, and then I love the wealth dynamics test, right? Things like that to make sure that we're getting the right people. And then we have those right systems in place, because everybody needs to know in their business if they're winning or losing on a daily basis, right? Every single person. And if they don't, it's you're failing them as the leader with that. So, and then to those of you that are watching and listening, here's the ultimate hack, right? Don't recreate the wheel. Right. There's a reason when I realized I was at that point and I needed to figure out how to solve that problem. I went out there and found the best of the best, which is Jon Cheplak. And, like I said, you've seen the growth that my business experienced with them. So, for me, I'm like, why would I recreate the wheel? Why don't I just find you? You tell me exactly what the hell to do. And I don't have to figure this stuff out on my own, man. And then the level I have it today, one of the reasons, and this is just me really plugging Jon because he's just impacted every aspect of my business and life here, you guys, is now it's to the point when you hear me say certain things like, I work in my business 2 hours a week. Well, that's also because Jon doesn't just work with me. He coaches one-on-one my general manager. He coaches one-on-one my recruiter, right? And then he's reporting back to me. So it takes some of that management aspect out of it, if you will, on my end. Also, that comes down to what Jon taught me about vulnerabilities. I'm a very emotional person, right? So to run a business very well, I got to detach from emotion. So I'll get attached to somebody and let them slide because of the personal relationship and not hold them as tight on the accountability as I will. Where Jon, he isn't letting anybody slide, right? And then it also removes the emotional attachment for me so I could run my business as a business. So I had to realize that I was the problem in my business, step out, bring the right people in, and man, it's been such a damn game changer.
Well, and we take a look at now. I mean, you look at over this year, the quantum leap. This year is a quantum leap year for you. Yeah. I mean, it just is. And what's interesting, what's happened, you've moved further back from a personal presence. But what you're really doing, though, what's happening is a couple things. Is really, with Ashley, is the ultimate empowerment of her. I mean, and you continued to. You took a risk. Someone that was at an admin level, but here's the thing, though. What you've got to look at, I think, more than anything, what you have to do when you're looking at that person is we look at Ashley and the job she's doing today. She's been amazing. She's family and been with Josh for 10 plus years. What did Josh have? He had commitment and he had trust with her. What he put her into. I mean, listen, I put her into a company today, and I work with big companies, GM, no problem. And it was interesting. I was praying when we were chatting about her doing it. She's like, oh my God, what about Ashley? Yeah, dude. Yes, sir. She's committed. We trust her. and people love her. And she, I think she thought about it over the weekend and she did it. And so where you're at today is a couple things to recognize is getting out of your way, being vulnerable, but then also moving. I think the thing that really Josh is mentioning here is he's moving himself off the decisions he can't make responsibly.
Yep.
He's moving himself off the decisions he can't make responsibly. And he's also allowing, though, too, and I want you guys to hear this, is and this is a real tough one, learn to embrace people that disagree with you. Learn to embrace people that disagree with you, because the conversations that happen and have happened with me working with Ashley and Josh, we have conversations that go on the phone, on a web call or an email. And I wouldn't say we agree with each other. I say we probably disagree more than we do agree a lot of times. I don't know. I mean, I'd say this, it's not okay. Pat each other on the butt and go. But what you've got to do is, when we talk about that vulnerability, is stop trying to be right. Josh doesn't have to be right. And that's where that guide thing comes in versus being a hero. And that's where that taking the risk thing comes in, the risk of the organization for the growth of a human being, the risk of the company for the growth of a human being. And here we are.
Yep.
Kicking butt and growing some special human.
Yep, 100%, dude. So, and I know that this isn't why you come on these podcasts, and you've even flown out and spoken on stages on your own dime is a favor for me. And you're a guy that comes from just such massive contribution, and it's not a sales pitch to you. However, those that are watching, listen, there's a reason that Jon Cheplak is my only real estate coach. There's a reason why I've been with him for 4 straight years and continue being with him really for the rest of my career, or as long as he chooses to keep doing this, right? So then with that, and I'm totally plugged in, right? So, from the one-on-one level, not just the one-on-one level, you also one-on-one coach each of my leadership team. We've had the Real Recruiter, which is our website and CRM. Like, we treat recruiting just as I would if I was going after listing clients or buyer clients. We have a CRM for that. That's your software that we've been totally dialed in for 4 years and use the hell out of today. I'm part of your team digital program. Also, you recently launched a call center. Yeah. Right? Where now your call center setting appointments. My recruiter's still setting appointments, but one person can only do so much. And now your call center, I mean, I don't know the exact averages, but get 15 appointments or whatever a week is set by you guys for us. My recruiter just goes on those appointments. So because, and I'm a big believer, and I would highly recommend any team leaders or broker owners to get dialed in the way that I am. But can you talk about each of those or hit on each of those? Because maybe somebody wants to invest, but maybe they don't have the, $40,000 a year to invest in all of those things. Like I make the investment, but they want to start somewhere with you, right? Can you kind of hit on each thing that you offer, just so maybe you can kind of meet them where they're at with getting involved with your amazing programs?
Absolutely. And it's why we went to, as a matter of fact, I got a couple emails today. I just looked, we set 3 appointments for you yesterday in the call center, and I just got an email from Ashley confirming that you got a recruit yesterday from the call center. So
awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good timing on that.
And what's so great about it, guys, is I don't even know.
He doesn't even know. I tell him. He calls me up. I'm speaking a couple days ago, man, to 150 team leaders. And I said, listen, here's how it goes. Josh will get on the phone with me and his lead, his sales manager, his operations manager. I said, well, I don't know what's going on. I mean, you guys got to fill me in. Dude, that's owning a business. So, what we had was it was the really software, but I wanted to go entry level. So what I did is I took all my training, and I've got 119 videos that go into the 3 most critical spaces. I mean, we've got a little bit of P&L and all that stuff like that, but it's recruit, train, retain. So I've got 119 videos that a broker owner manager or someone who's leading a team, or someone even thinking about leading a team, because the principles, you guys, that we follow in this. I mean, you want to recruit buyers and sellers. You want to retain buyers and sellers. You want to train them how to interact with you. Well, it's the same with real estate agents. So even if you're sticking your toe in the water and thinking, maybe I do a team. So we put 119 videos together online, about 200-300 pages, downloadable documents. And we had to get to a price point that, could expand our audience. And, that group of people that are in the consideration phase, that are in the indifferent phase, they're not really thinking about it, but the consideration phase, they're going to invest more. And so it's a $1,997 program that gives people 24/7 access to coaching calls a month in a private group with some epic people. I mean, you're in there, Chris Lindahl and Justin Haver, just to name a few, and broker owner managers. Some great people in there. So that's a kind of an entry level place to put your toe in the water and really internalize the information. The next level, I do one-on-one coaching, and it's interesting. Josh will ask me too, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Well, so I keep 30 people one-on-one coaching, which now we've got a wait list with that, and that's a 12-week process because I look at it this way. I don't. For me personally, I don't need to work someone in for a year. Maybe I don't want to work with you after 12 weeks. Maybe you don't want to work with me. But that way, it's just more on the attraction thing, and that's a larger investment. It's $500 for a 30-minute call, and you make the investment over time. But we charge based on the return that we get. So those are. But the stair stepping up, I think that the broker team profit machine is awesome, and then you move up into naturally the software. I think the really neat thing that we've done recently, and you're doing it too in your my clients. Well, it's not mine; they're ours. I mean, I've got clients. What do you think of Josh's program? Someone one-on-one, jump in it now. Broker owner managers, they're jumping in his boot camp. That are people that will come from me. And Josh, sending people from within there. So those are the three areas. I think that the key piece is if you want to lead, understanding that you've got to it's not about how many more leads you can get. It's sure you've got to have leads, but you've got to know how to facilitate change with human beings. And I think at our lower level, we do that lower level investment wise. It's the best deal in town, but for that kind of money. But that's, I think the real, it's a long-term one. It's a good discovery one. And the content's great. Content's what we use folks. So.
Yeah. Well, and I would say too, just like I tell real estate agents, right? Your number one asset in this business is your connection with your database. Like you have to get a database. So if you're wanting to expand and grow and you don't have a database for the recruiting, like what the hell's wrong with you? Right? It's so funky because so many real estate agents that build these massive, amazing own personal careers, they don't take those same fundamentals and then just move them over to the recruiting side, which is the same damn fundamentals. Right? So for me, if you guys don't have that going on and dialed in, that's number one. So Real Recruiter, and it's cheap. I mean, it's not like going out there and getting Boomtown at $1,500 a month. I know I've had it forever, and I don't know if I'm grandfathered in at a lower price point, but what does that run for? A monthly fee. Yeah.
So right now, standalone, it's $580 a month. $580 a month, and you get. Watch this. One coaching call in the group, you get 4 Facebook Live and webinar coaching calls, group calls. One call alone pays for that thing. Well, it's group. Well, let me tell you about the group. Let me tell you about the number one Century 21 in the world that's been in that group for years. Let me tell you about the number one brokerage in the U.S. that's been in there. I mean, hello. So it's pre-written. What I would say humbly, but truthfully, I know the human behavior of real estate agents based on how they receive emails better than anyone. How do I know? I don't know anyone that has sent 100 plus million emails. Yeah. They were pre-written and setting subject lines, pre-written emails, lead magnets, understanding how they behave. So yeah, it's what I say to broker owner managers is this, and I'd say it to to inspire them and challenge them, but I say it to team people too. It's very interesting, broker owner manager. You want your agents to go out and prospect. You want them to present. You want them to lead follow-up. And you want them to convert. Isn't that your job on a daily basis too with real estate agents? Tell me about your CRM. Tell them about your email drip campaign. Oh, walk the talk you mean. You mean like, so I'm managing do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, that's the one. How about doing it and they'll do it. So Yeah, there you go.
I hear all the time from team leaders or broker owners of, oh, well, we don't recruit. We just attract people. And I'm like, good luck staying small for the rest of your life. Right? Like how in the hell is.
Oh, Josh, and the best call is, oh shit, I'm embarrassed. Why? 2 people just left me. Oh, they did, really? And tell me more. Well, it doesn't make sense. 80% of their business came from the leads I gave them. I said, yeah. See, because you want to know what? People don't make logical decisions. They make emotional decisions. And here's the second part. You didn't listen to me when I told you that you just can't stop recruiting. Because now what are you going to do? You're going to go all of a sudden ramp up your recruiting that takes time to get those people? Or you're going to squeeze more out of your people that you already have? Good luck. Come on, man. It's like, your listing cancels on you. Well, you're not worried because you're prospecting, man. You know there's more coming. You're not going to pussyfoot in an interview on pricing because you're not a hostage because you have no other inventory. Well, it's the same with your agents.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Love it, man. And then, with the call center, I don't know if this is something that you've opened up now on a nationwide level. I know for me, when I saw you put out a post when this first started and you were like, hey, I'm only releasing this to like 6 agents. And I'm posting on there, I'm blowing up. I'm like, dude, you better not, you got to reserve me a spot, bro. Cause I'm sitting there thinking the best of the best dude in this space setting appointments. To me, it's a no brainer. I mean, the vision that I have for this is, to build this out where all you guys all day long, all you're doing is setting the appointments. So then all I have to do is have recruiters. It's just like an internal ISA on the buyer seller side, right? So my agents are just going on appointments. It's all they have to do. Same thing with the recruiters, and just build this into an armly assembly line with it. And we're new into the relationship, meaning, a month or 2 in, and it's already going so amazing. So kind of talk about like what led you to doing that and give people an idea of what that looks like.
Sure, because the number one thing that I hear is this: John, get them in front of me. If you get them in front of me, I'm great. And I mean, I'd heard it for years and years. And Tim, who, he's smarter than me, just like you have people smarter than you around you. I mean, if you need something, you go to him. Tim kept telling me, dude, we got to do a call center. And I had that bullshit excuse, the scarcity thing that creeps in. Oh, that's going to piss some people off. And this, how we'll do that shit sometimes. It's like, wait a minute. That's like saying, send all my agents to Joshua Smith's boot camp, all 100 of them, but come out and only one of you can use what he says. Really?
Yeah.
So I had that moment. What I think too, was someone that was experienced in working with call centers. It's that thing where I recognized a call center is not what I'm proficient at. So I knew the dialogue, I knew what to say, and I found someone that had worked in coaching call center people. So I think it was partly that too. It was me getting over my bullshit excuse. And then having someone that was really good at it. And so the other piece too that helps is so many people, when people come to me too, so many broker owner managers, and it's the same with consumers too, man, getting leads. I don't know, I don't know what to say on the phone and this and that. I said, well, the big problem, this is not what you're saying. What are you sending before? See, here's what we're all doing, and this is how we set the system up. So it's easy for a guy that I train for an hour and a half that's never recruited someone in their life. Never. Hour and a half, boom, day one, getting appointments with experienced agents. Because, and remember this, ladies and gentlemen, this goes back to where I see how the business has progressed no matter where you're at. These are all principles because we're all enrolling. And enrolling people is, here's what you guys are all doing. And no matter what it is enrolling, you're going to a bank account that has no money in it. You're going with your ATM card to the bank account and you made no deposits in it. So I want you to remember this. It's making deposits in the business relationship equity account. Your business relationship, when you get no, when someone delays you and stalls you, you need to make more deposits in the business relationship equity account. So ultimately, it was because people weren't doing it. Number two, I knew though too, they have to interact. And so as they interact and then they see that someone who's never been in real estate, because here's the underneath part, because you and I mean, listen, I run a for-profit business and listen, I want to grow it. But the other underneath it part, sometimes in developing people indirectly, wait a minute, I've got someone that's new, that's never done real estate, setting appointments for me. Maybe I can do it. But similar to you. So there's that piece to it too. Similar to you, though, we work with a large organization, about 500 agent company, big company. And that CEO said, listen, I don't want her on the phone. I want her toe to toe and knee to knee, like you.
Yep.
So it's a lot of different reasons, and it's worked good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this, we'll have a link to Jon's first podcast, which kind of goes deep into his story and how he got started and all this stuff. But, I mean, the dude has grown, personally recruited and grown offices from 0 to 1,000 agents in 12 months, right? He's pulled off and done what no other human being in that space has been able to do. And that's why he is Jon Cheplak and, the best guy in the recruiting space. He's not from theory. He's freaking done it. Again, that's why he's so good at what he does now, right? So to me, I look at, dude, it's the perfect model, right, man? I got you overseeing and training a call center to set the appointments. I provide the recruiter, but that recruiter is coached by you to get those appointments, right? That then comes into our training department that is also coached by you, right?
And harass you all the time about it.
Yeah, right. So it's just that perfect funnel. And I had a dude reach out to me. I was telling about your program the other day about the call center, and he reached out. He's like, "Oh man," he goes, "I don't know. It's per recruit, I got to pay X amount of dollars. Once I recruit him." I'm like, "Look, man, it's such a small-minded thought process for the small, tiny monthly fee, and then the small fee. Like when I did the math on this." Right? Like, okay, let's just say it's for $1,500 that I invest to you into this department, with the average agent production and the average lifetime that my agents are with me before they leave, I spend $1,500 to net $45,000.
Hello.
Right? Like I'll do that on Facebook all day long. Like, I mean, people again, just think about this in such a backwards thought process. Like you said, they're so short-sighted with the now, not long-term. It just blows my mind. So with all that being said, man, where is the best place for people to learn more about you, to again, if they want to go pick up one of these products or have a conversation to see what the best fit is? Where's the best place, Jon, to go do that at?
Yeah, best place for them to go is cheplaklive.com, CHEPLAK live.com. And of course, you got to contact a lot of information, a lot of great stuff in the blog there too. A lot of videos up there, and reach out to me there. And you can also check out, my other sites. Make that the primary to reach out. You can go to my personal Facebook page too. I share this with people. My personal Facebook page is a business website. It just is, because I'm allowing people to have all these experiences of my journey. And there's an interesting thing. Everyone desires to have a lot of experiences, not just a singular one. So, cheplaklive.com, therealrecruiter.com to check out my other products, brokerteamprofitmachine.com, and the call center is under the radar. You got to come find us.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. You guys, and again, I know we have other, coaches and trainers that make appearances on this podcast, but like I said earlier, I'm not saying that they're not good or bad or whatever. I'm just here to say that there's an absolute 100% reason that I'm with Jon and been with him for 4 years, and it's somebody that I won't coach with anybody else, put it that way. So if that shares any weight with you guys, I highly recommend that you do that. So, all right, bro, I know we're getting long on time. Those that are watching or listening, man, are here because they want to go out there and create an amazing life for themselves and their families. Do you have any maybe last pieces of words or advice or inspiration that you'd like to leave them with so they can do exactly that?
Sure. Number one, what I'd say is stop trying to be all things to all people, because if you continue to try and be all things to all people, you'll be nothing to no one. You'll be nothing to no one. The second piece that I really want you to do is I want you to go to where Josh already has the experience. Maybe you don't yet, and he draws back on it. I want you to visit. It's kind of a reverse engineering. It's a really good exercise I'm finding with folks is, while you write down all the things you're going to take place, write down next to it, what's the one thing at the end of the day, if you don't get done, you'll regret. And take a look at that one. Just some subtle little pieces there. And the bottom, the final piece is this. When you come to understand, it's not how much you make or how much you sell. It's how many you impact. How much you make and how much you sell is going to blow your freaking mind.
Yep. Yep, powerful stuff. And those watching and listening, I know I ended every podcast with this, but information without implementation truly is the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information, taking action on that information that creates the power inside your life to go out there and create the life that you know you want and deserve. Jon shared so much amazing piece of advice with you guys. Take something that you learn, take immediate action on it. And I don't care where you're watching, listening, like iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the website, wherever. Below in the show notes will be links to all of Jon's, all the products he talked about today, plus his social media links. You can start following Jon, all his contact information. So make sure to take action on that as well. And Jon, dude, it's always a massive honor rapping with you, man. I truly appreciate you being on the show, my friend.
Thanks, brother. Always good. Be well, my man.
All right, you guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.